All right. Feel like your vocabulary is holding you back. Like out there are these sharper, more nuanced words just like waiting to be unlocked. Well, get this. We're diving into a piece that claims if you know these 21 words, your English is top 2% worldwide.
Yeah. Okay, so of course we're not promising you'll like suddenly be a linguistic genius.
Right.
But this source does make you think about the power of choosing the right words.
Okay.
It's not just about size, it's about impact.
Okay, so not just memorizing the dictionary, then I'm
Fact check.
intrigued. So what's the first word that's going to catapult me into this elite 2%?
First up is eloquent. Think of someone who can express themselves so clearly and persuasively, they practically have the audience eating out of their hand. That's eloquence in action.
So it's more than just like well-spoken. Is it like this word implies you're not just saying things right, but you're also really smart and maybe even a bit artistic with how you use language?
Exactly. It's a word you'd use to praise someone's communication skills in a professional setting.
Okay.
Or maybe even to describe a particularly moving speech. You wouldn't just throw it around casually.
Got it. So save eloquent for those times when you really want to emphasize someone's command of language.
Right.
What's next on our list of power words?
Get ready for ambiguous. Think of those optical illusions where you can see two different images depending on how you look at it.
Okay.
That's ambiguity.
Okay.
Something open to multiple interpretations.
Like those political debates where no one really answers the question directly?
Yeah.
Is that kind of what we're talking about here?
Exactly. Using ambiguous shows you're comfortable with nuance, that not everything is black and white.
Okay.
It can actually encourage critical thinking because it forces you to consider different perspectives.
So instead of getting frustrated by unclear communication, I can just call it ambiguous and sound super smart.
Exactly.
I like it. Okay, what's next?
This one is meticulous, and it's all about the details. Imagine a surgeon performing a delicate operation or an artist painstakingly creating a masterpiece with tiny brushstrokes.
Okay.
That level of precision and attention, that's being meticulous.
It's almost like meticulous implies an obsession with detail.
Yes.
Like you'd use it to describe someone who's maybe a little too focused on getting things perfect, right?
You could definitely use it that way.
Yeah.
Meticulous goes beyond just being careful. It highlights a level of exceptional care and precision that goes above and beyond.
Okay. I'm starting to see how these words aren't just about expanding my vocabulary. They're about expanding my thinking.
Absolutely.
What else do we have?
Up next is ubiquitous. Think of something that's absolutely everywhere you look.
Yeah, okay.
Like you could say smartphones are ubiquitous in today's world instead of...
So instead of saying smartphones are everywhere, I can say smartphones are ubiquitous and suddenly sound like a tech expert.
Precisely. It elevates your language, adding a touch of formality and sophistication.
Love it. Okay, hit me with the next word.
This one has a certain poetic beauty to it. Ephemeral. Think of a beautiful sunset.
Okay.
Breathtaking but fleeting. Or the blooming of cherry blossoms.
Okay.
A magnificent sight that doesn't last long.
Yeah.
That's ephemerality.
Wow. Ephemeral. It's like the word itself captures that sense of beauty fading too quickly. Why is this considered an advanced word? It seems pretty straightforward.
It's advanced because it's evocative. Instead of just saying something is temporary, ephemeral adds a layer of poignancy, a touch of melancholy. It elevates your language from the mundane to something more poetic.
Okay, I'm definitely adding ephemeral to my vocabulary arsenal.
Yeah.
It's like a secret weapon for sounding both smart and sensitive.
Exactly.
That's next.
This one is for the problem solvers out there.
Yeah.
Conundrum. It's a confusing, difficult problem or question. Think of a riddle that's hard to crack, or a situation where you're faced with a tricky decision.
So not just any old problem, but one that really makes you scratch your head. Like, is it a conundrum if I can't decide what to have for dinner?
Yeah.
Or is that too small scale?
Maybe a bit too small scale for conundrum.
Yeah.
It suggests a problem with some intellectual weight to it.
Okay.
Shows you're grappling with complex issues and not afraid of a good mental challenge.
Got it. So save conundrum for those truly head-scratching dilemmas.
Yeah.
All right, what's next on our list?
This one's sure to brighten your day. Serendipity. It's the occurrence of events by chance in a happy or beneficial way,
Okay.
like stumbling upon a hidden gem or unexpectedly running into an old friend.
Ah, so it's not just luck,
Right.
but luck that works out beautifully in your favor, like the universe is giving you a little wink.
Exactly. Serendipity adds a touch of whimsy and positivity to your vocabulary.
Okay.
It suggests you're open to those delightful surprises life throws your way.
All right, serendipity, you're officially my new favorite word.
Uh-huh.
What's next?
Let's talk about dichotomy. This word is all about contrast. It refers to a division between two things that are completely different.
Okay.
Think of the classic yin and yang symbol.
Yeah.
It represents the balance between opposite forces.
Interesting. So is it just any kind of contrast, or does it have to be a really stark difference? Like, is it a dichotomy if I like both coffee and tea, or do those things have to be more fundamentally opposed?
You're onto something there.
Okay.
Dichotomy is reserved for pretty significant contrasts.
Okay.
It's not just about personal preferences, but about fundamental differences in concepts or ideas. It's a powerful word for discussions about duality and opposing forces.
Got it. So dichotomy is for those times when you want to highlight a really striking contrast.
Right.
All right. What's next on our list of power words?
Next up is superfluous. It means something that's unnecessary, especially because there's already more than enough. Think of a presentation packed with so much extra info that it distracts from the main point. Those extra details would be superfluous.
Oh, I've definitely sat through those presentations.
Yeah.
So superfluous is like a fancy way of saying too much of a good thing.
Exactly. It allows you to express that idea with precision and a touch of class.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like a vocabulary ninja. What's next?
Get ready for some art appreciation with juxtaposition. It's the act of placing two things next to each other to highlight their differences.
Okay.
Think of a painting that uses bright colors against the dark background, or a film that combines humor with serious themes.
So it's not just about contrast,
Right.
but about deliberate contrast. Like
Yeah.
someone is intentionally putting these two things together to create a certain effect.
Precisely. Juxtaposition suggests a conscious choice to create a specific impact by highlighting the differences between two things.
Okay.
It's a word that shows you're paying attention to the nuances of art and design.
All right, juxtaposition is officially added to my art critic vocabulary. What's next?
Let's move on to omnipotent. This word is all about ultimate power. Think superheroes like Superman or Wonder Woman. They're often depicted as omnipotent beings.
Ah, so omnipotent is like the ultimate power move. Like, is there a difference between being powerful and being omnipotent?
Definitely. Powerful implies a high level of strength or influence,
Yeah.
but omnipotent takes it to the extreme.
Okay.
It suggests unlimited power, the ability to do anything. It's a word usually reserved for discussions about deities or fictional characters with godlike abilities.
Got it. So save omnipotent for those times when you're talking about truly boundless power.
Right.
All right, what's next?
This next word is for all the straight shooters out there. Pertinent. It means something that is relevant and applicable to a particular matter. It's about cutting through the fluff and focusing on what truly matters.
Oh, I can see how that would be useful in meetings and presentations. So is pertinent like a more formal way of saying relevant?
You could say that. Pertinent has a more authoritative ring to it. It shows you're discerning. You could distinguish between what's important and what's not.
I like it. It's like saying, let's cut to the chase. Okay, what's next?
Let's acknowledge that feeling we all get sometimes. Lethargic. It means lacking energy or enthusiasm. It's that feeling of being drained and unmotivated, you just can't seem to get going.
Yeah, I know that feeling all too well.
We all do.
Is there a difference between being tired and being lethargic?
There is a subtle difference.
Okay.
Tired is a more general term for feeling physically or mentally exhausted.
Okay.
Lethargic suggests a deeper level of fatigue, a lack of motivation that can make it difficult to do even simple tasks. It can describe a mental state as well as a physical one.
Okay, so lethargic is for those times when you're feeling truly drained, both physically and mentally.
Right.
Got it. What's next on our list of power words?
Get ready to have your mind blown with paradox. It's a statement that seems contradictory but might actually be true. It challenges your assumptions and forces you to think outside the box.
I love that. So is it any kind of surprising statement? Or does it have to be something that seems logically impossible? Like, is it a paradox if I say, I love rainy days? Or does it have to be something more mind-bending?
Good question. Paradox is reserved for statements that truly seem to defy logic.
Okay.
It's not just about personal preferences, but about ideas that seem to contradict themselves, yet somehow hold a deeper truth.
Mm-hmm.
Think of the classic phrase, less is more. It seems contradictory, but on closer examination, it often holds true.
Wow, I'm starting to see how paradox can be a powerful tool for sparking deep conversations.
Hmm?
All right, what's next?
Let's celebrate those quirks that make us unique with idiosyncrasy. It refers to a peculiar characteristic or habit of an individual, those little quirks that make someone special.
Oh, I love this word. So, is it any little habit, or does it have to be something really unusual? Like, is it an idiosyncrasy if I always put my left shoe on first, or does it have to be something more eccentric?
Idiosyncrasy suggests a habit or trait that's a little bit out of the ordinary.
Okay.
Something that sets someone apart in a charming or quirky way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a word that celebrates individuality and recognizes that we're all a little bit weird in our own special way.
I'm definitely going to start using idiosyncrasy to describe all my friends' little quirks.
Nice. What's next?
Let's talk about magnanimous. This word is all about being big-hearted and forgiving.
Okay.
It means being generous or forgiving, especially towards a rival or someone less powerful.
So is it just about being nice?
Well,
Or is there something more to it? Like, is it magnanimous to hold the door open for someone, or does it require a greater act of generosity?
magnanimous implies a level of grace and compassion that goes beyond everyday politeness.
Okay.
It suggests rising above pettiness and acting with nobility, even when you've been wronged or slighted. Think of someone who loses a competition but congratulates the winner with genuine sincerity. That's magnanimous.
Okay, so magnanimous is like next level kindness.
I love it. What's next?
This next word is for all the lifelong learners out there. Inquisitive. It describes someone who's curious and eager to learn.
Ah, so is it just about asking questions? Or is there something more to being inquisitive? Like, what separates a nosy person from an inquisitive person?
Inquisitive suggests a genuine thirst for knowledge, a desire to understand the world around them.
Okay.
It's not about prying into personal matters, but about exploring ideas and seeking out new information.
Okay.
Think of a child who's always asking why. They have that natural inquisitiveness.
So inquisitive is like curiosity with a purpose.
Right.
I love it. What's next?
Let's talk about benevolent. It means being well-meaning and kindly, having a genuine desire to help others and make the world a better place.
Okay, so is it just about being nice, or is there something more to benevolence? Like, what makes an act truly benevolent?
Benevolent implies a deep-seated compassion and a selfless desire to do good. It's about acting with kindness and generosity, not for personal gain, but out of a genuine concern for the well-being of others.
Okay.
Think of someone who volunteers their time at a homeless shelter or donates to charity without seeking recognition. That's true benevolence.
So it's not just about good deeds,
Right.
but about the motivation behind them.
Exactly.
Got it. What's next?
Let's talk about quintessential. This word is all about embodying the most perfect or typical example of something.
Ah, so is it just about being a good example, or is there something more to being quintessential? Like, what makes something truly quintessential?
Quintessential means capturing the essence of something in its purest form.
Okay.
It's about being the ideal representation of a particular quality or concept.
Okay.
Think of Paris as the quintessential romantic city, or a perfectly prepared Neapolitan pizza as the quintessential pizza.
Okay.
They embody the very essence of what they represent.
Okay, so it's like saying, this is the gold standard.
Yeah.
I love it. What's next?
Let's talk about audacious. This word describes someone who is daring and willing to take bold risks.
Ooh, audacious sounds exciting. So is it just about being brave, or is there something more to it? Like, what's the difference between being bold and being audacious?
Audacious implies a level of boldness that goes beyond the ordinary.
Okay.
It suggests a willingness to take risks and defy conventions, even when the odds are stacked against you. Think of entrepreneurs who launch startups, or artists who challenge traditional norms.
Okay.
They have that audacious spirit.
So it's like boldness with a side of daring. I like it. What's our final word for this part of our deep dive?
Let's end with equivocal. It means open to more than one interpretation, ambiguous.
Okay.
It's when someone says something that could be understood in multiple ways, and it's not clear which meaning is intended.
Ah, so equivocal is like the master of disguise in the world of words. Like, it can blend in and take on different meanings depending on the context.
Exactly. Equivocal highlights the slipperiness of language and how meaning can be subjective.
Okay.
It's a word that encourages us to be mindful of the nuances of communication and to be aware that words can have multiple layers of interpretation.
That's a great word to end on for now.
Yeah.
We've covered so much ground today, and I already feel like my vocabulary has leveled up. But don't worry, we'll be back with more power words and insights in part 2.
Absolutely. Welcome back to our deep dive into these fascinating words.
I'm ready for more. We were just talking about equivocal, right?
Yeah.
That word that's all about slippery meanings.
Yeah, equivocal reminds us that language can be tricky sometimes.
But that's what makes it so interesting, right?
Exactly.
So I have to ask, how do we actually, use these words without sounding like we're showing off?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
The source we're looking at emphasizes that it's not about cramming them all into every sentence.
Right.
It's about being thoughtful
Okay.
and strategic.
So quality over quantity. I can handle that. What are some of the tips they suggest?
Well, practice is key. The more you use these words in context, the more natural they'll become.
Okay.
The source even suggests writing some sentences or even a paragraph using each word to really get a feel for how they work.
I like that. It's like giving your vocabulary a workout.
Yeah.
Any other tips?
Another suggestion is to pair these more advanced words with simpler,
Okay.
more common ones.
Okay.
It creates a balance and helps you avoid sounding overly pretentious.
It's like finding the right harmony in a song, right? You need the high notes and the low notes to create a beautiful melody.
That's a perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And probably the most important tip is to use these words sparingly. Don't force them into every conversation.
Right.
Focus on clarity and appropriateness above all else.
So it's all about picking the right moment to unleash our newfound vocabulary superpowers.
Okay.
Don't overuse them or they lose their impact.
A little bit goes a long way.
This deep dive has been so eye-opening. I'm already thinking about how I can sprinkle these words into my conversations and writing.
It's amazing how a few carefully chosen words can really elevate your communication.
Yeah.
You might even inspire others to expand their vocabularies as well.
Now that would be something. Spreading the love of language. So what stood out to you the most from this deep dive?
You know, what really resonated with me was the emphasis on the why behind these words.
Okay.
It's not just about sounding intelligent. It's about understanding the subtle ways language can shape our thoughts and how we connect with others.
That's so true. It's like we're cracking a code
Yeah.
that unlocks a deeper level of communication.
Absolutely.
Do you have a favorite word from our list?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
But I think I have to go with serendipity. I just love the idea of embracing those happy accidents and finding joy in the unexpected. How about you?
It is a tough choice. There are so many good ones, but I think I'm particularly drawn to ephemeral. It captures the beauty of fleeting moments and reminds us to savor the present.
I love both of those choices.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how our favorite words often reflect our own values and perspectives.
Absolutely. Our vocabulary is like a window into who we are.
This brings up an interesting question for our listeners.
Okay.
Which of these words resonates most with you? How do you see yourself using it to enhance your own communication?
We'd love to hear your thoughts, but for now, we're going to take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back for the grand finale of our word exploration. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive into these 21 power words.
Yeah, it's amazing how just a few carefully chosen words can have such a big impact on how we communicate, right?
Right. Yeah. And what's interesting to me is that this goes way beyond just sounding smarter. It's almost like we've been unpacking a whole philosophy of language today.
I see what you mean. Yeah, we've gone beyond just definitions, haven't we?
Right.
It's more about understanding how these words reflect different ways of thinking about the world.
Exactly. These 21 words are just a tiny sample, a starting point, really.
Right.
The real takeaway is that there's this whole universe of language out there waiting to be explored.
Yeah, and the more of that universe we explore, the more tools we have.
Right.
To express ourselves and connect with others in meaningful ways,
It's pretty exciting when you think about it like that.
It is. So what would you say is the most important thing for our listeners to remember from this deep dive?
That's a good question. I think it's that mastering language is an ongoing journey.
Yeah.
It's not like you reach a certain level and then you're done.
Right.
There's always more to learn, more nuances to discover.
I completely agree. It's like we're all on this lifelong adventure of language exploration.
Yeah.
And today's deep dive has given us some new tools and maps to help us navigate that journey.
So don't be afraid to, experiment with these words. Try them out. See how they feel. Don't worry about getting things perfect right away.
Exactly. It's all about finding what works for you, expressing yourself authentically, and having fun with language.
And remember, it's not about sounding pretentious or showing off.
Right.
It's about finding the words that best capture your ideas and connect with the people you're talking to.
Yeah. So as we wrap up, let's leave our listeners with a little challenge. Think back to all the words we've explored today. Which one really sparks something for you? Pick just one word and make a conscious effort to use it this week.
Yeah, notice how it feels when you say it. See how people react.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll discover a new favorite word that will become part of your regular vocabulary.
And who knows, maybe you'll even inspire someone else to start paying more attention to the power of language.
That's a great thought to end on. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, those vocabularies growing.
Yes.
And keep exploring the endlessly fascinating world of words.